So this happened about 2 years ago. I was driving home from a family reunion that had gone on way longer than I expected. It was already pretty late, close to 11, and I had a solid 2-hour drive ahead of me. Everyone else was staying the night, but I had work the next morning, and I didn't want to call in or risk being late. So I figured, screw it, I'll just drive home. The first half hour was fine. The roads were quiet but not empty, and for a while, it was peaceful, just me, the hum of the engine, and the soft static of the radio. But once I got further out, the route turned into one of those long, narrow roads, the kind with thick trees and bushes on both sides, where your headlights barely cut through the dark. If you've ever driven one of those roads late at night, you know the feeling. The way the darkness seems heavier, like it's pressing against your windows. Anyway, I was about 45 minutes in when it hit me, that sudden, bone-deep tiredness. 1 second I was fine, the next I could barely keep my eyes open. I rolled the windows down, blasted cold air, even slapped my face a few times, but it didn't help. I knew I wasn't gonna make it another hour like that. Problem was, there wasn't a single gas station or rest area in sight. Just miles of forest on either side, and the occasional car passing by every few minutes. So, I made a really dumb decision. I pulled over. I found this small grassy patch just off the road, partly hidden behind some tall bushes. It felt secluded enough that no one would really notice my car. I parked there, turned off the headlights, and leaned back in my seat. I made a quick mental note of the time 11:22 p.m. and told myself I'd rest my eyes for maybe 15-20 minutes. The next thing I remember was waking up to a sound, a soft scratching noise. I blinked myself awake, groggy and disoriented, and looked at the clock 11:50. My first thought was that maybe it was branches brushing against the car. The sound only lasted a few seconds, then stopped completely. I was too tired to think much of it, so I just closed my eyes again and went back to sleep. The next time it happened though, it was different. I woke up again to that same scratching sound, except this time, it didn't stop. It was longer, slow, like something dragging across the side of my car. I remember instantly tensing up, every bit of tiredness, leaving my body in a rush. I looked at the clock again, 12:40 a.m. Almost an hour had passed. I held my breath and just listened. Scrape, pause, scrape. The sound was coming from the passenger side, near the back door. I told myself it was probably an animal, a raccoon, maybe a deer brushing against the car, but my gut was telling me otherwise. I slowly sat up and glanced in my rearview mirror. For a split second, I swear I saw something, a figure, darting into the trees. It moved fast, too fast to really make out what it was, but it was definitely human-shaped. My heart started pounding. You know when your brain suddenly floods with every horror story you've ever heard? Yeah, that was me. All I could think about was that old urban legend, the one about the couple in the car who hear scratching outside, only to find a hook dangling from the door handle the next morning. I told myself, nope, I'm not dying on the side of this road. So I turned the key, started the engine, and got the hell out of there. I floored it, trying to shake off that eerie, crawling feeling in my chest. The road ahead curved sharply to the right, maybe 100 yards up, and as I came around the bend, I saw another car parked on the shoulder. The driver's side door was wide open. Naturally, I slowed down. I thought maybe someone had broken down or needed help. But when I looked, there was no one inside. No movement, no lights, nothing. Then, just as I was about to keep driving, I checked my rearview mirror one more time, and that's when I saw him. A man sprinting out of the darkness, coming around the same bend I'd just passed. He was waving his arms and screaming. I could barely hear him over the sound of my tires, but I caught bits and pieces. Hey, you! Get out of your car! Now! I froze for a half second, not sure if I'd hit someone or if this guy needed help, but the way he was running, the sheer aggression in his voice, it didn't sound like someone in trouble. It sounded like someone hunting. I didn't think. I just hit the gas and sped off as fast as I could. For the next few miles, I kept checking my mirrors, expecting to see headlights behind me, but there was nothing, just darkness stretching for miles in both directions. I didn't pull over again, not until I hit a gas station on the outskirts of a small town about 40 minutes later. The first thing I did when I parked under those bright fluorescent lights was get out and walk around the car. And that's when I saw it. On the passenger side door, long, uneven scratches. 3 of them, deep enough to scrape away the paint. I ran my hand over them, and they were fresh. Whatever made them hadn't been there before. I remember standing there for a long time, just staring, trying to convince myself that it was just a branch, or an animal, or even my imagination. But deep down, I knew something or someone had been right next to my car while I was sleeping, watching me. A few days later, I told my coworker about it. He's one of those guys who's obsessed with true crime, and after I finished telling him, he went pale. He said, "Dude, that sounds a lot like something that happened near Lake Edge Road a while back." I had no idea what he was talking about, so he pulled up an old local article. Apparently, there'd been reports a couple years earlier of people seeing a man wandering along that same stretch of highway late at night, always near parked cars, always disappearing before police arrived. In one report, a driver claimed they saw a man standing completely still on the shoulder, holding something metallic. When they turned their car around to get a better look, he was gone. Another claimed they woke up in their car to see someone crouched near their window watching them. The police never caught anyone, and eventually, people stopped talking about it. But seeing that article made my stomach twist, because the photo they used, taken by a dash cam, showed a shape in the woods. And even though it was grainy and blurry, I swear it looked like the same figure I'd seen darting away into the trees. Over the next few nights, I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. I kept thinking about what would have happened if I hadn't woken up when I did, or if I had decided to step out and check the noise. And that car up the road, the one with the door open, I still don't know what to make of that. Was it his? Or had he already done something to whoever had been driving it? Sometimes I think maybe he was using it as bait, leaving it there, waiting for someone curious enough to stop and help. A week after that night, I decided to drive the same route again. This time, during the day. I don't even know why, maybe just to convince myself that it wasn't as creepy as I remembered. But as I drove past that same section of road, I slowed down and looked for the spot where I'd pulled over. And I found it the same grassy patch, the same bushes. Except this time, there was something different. A piece of yellow tape tied around a tree trunk. It looked old, but faded enough that it could have been there for months. I pulled over just for a second, staring at it. And written on it, in faded marker, were the words, "Do not stop here." I didn't stay long. When I finally got home, I parked my car, turned off the engine, and sat there in silence. The world felt heavier that night, quieter. Even now, whenever I'm driving late at night and feel tired, I make sure I never pull over on the side of the road. No matter how exhausted I am, I keep going until I find a proper place. A rest stop, a town, anything with lights. Because sometimes, when I close my eyes and try to sleep, I still hear that sound. That slow, dragging scrape along the side of the car. And I can't help but wonder, if I had woken up just a few seconds later, would I have seen him standing there right outside my window? Moral of the story, don't ever, ever sleep on the side of a deserted road. You might not wake up alone.